Welcome into Minnesota Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey here with the latest on the Vikings, and we've got some trade rumors around the quarterback situation. Shocking, I know, for Minnesota. There's been fairly consistent speculation, theories, ideas, etc., all thrown out there about, hey, could the Vikings and Browns, given some organization overlap here, agree to some type of trade for Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield in the offseason? Cousins has a pretty big $45 million cap hit. The Vikings could potentially try to rebuild for a little bit, given a young GM, a young head coach, and the defense needs some adjustments from talent, personnel, and just money involved as well. Baker Mayfield, meanwhile, could be a target for Minnesota. After all, the Vikings have brought over Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the new GM who was previously with the Cleveland Browns. Former Vikings OC Kevin Stefanski, who knows Kirk Cousins quite well, is the head coach in Cleveland. And the Browns, meanwhile, are probably more so than Minnesota, built to win games right now and in the very near future. There is the overlap with these two organizations, Stefanski, Adofo-Mensah, some other coaches mixed in a little bit as well. A lot of this, I think, comes down to the Vikings side. Reportedly, Kevin O'Connell likes Kirk Cousins, but I wouldn't expect him to say anything different than that in the interview process, so, we'll see how he really feels there. Last 2 years, statistically, no doubt who's the better quarterback. It's Kirk Cousins. Higher completion percentage, more yards in 2 fewer games, but his adjusted yards per attempt and yards per attempt is higher, more touchdowns, and fewer interceptions. But we also know what Kirk Cousins is. I think his ceiling is what it is right now. He's probably not the guy that's going to win this organization a title. And if you can save $35 million by moving on from Kirk Cousins and then having Baker on your roster, that's not necessarily the worst outcome ever. So of these two, you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, who would you pick as your QB for this upcoming year and beyond? Type KC for Kirk Cousins and type BM for Baker Mayfield. Now, this is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So, if you get the ad break here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know which quarterback you would rather have. There's no doubt that currently Kirk Cousins is the better quarterback. He is, I think, top 15, top 14, 13, 16, 17, whatever you want to say, in that range. Baker's kind of in that top 20 range. But Baker could, emphasis on could, also be better. He was a first overall pick. He was really good, bordering on top 10 QB, if he wasn't already, down the stretch of 2020. This year, though, amid injuries, he did not play very well. His footwork was a mess. I don't know if you can fix the footwork when you're missing time with all the surgeries. That's a red flag there. And you got to pay Baker soon. It is decision time on his contract. Do you want to let him play out his fifth-year option? Do you want to give him a new deal? Are you committing to Baker? All those questions make it tricky. So I think from the Browns side, it actually might make more sense than it does necessarily from the Minnesota Vikings side. Today's show, powered by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code CHAT125. When you put down at least $100, they're going to give you an extra $125 for free, or beyond if you have more than $100 in. It's a 125% deposit bonus after all. You can bet on the Super Bowl. For example, you could bet on Kevin O'Connell, your new head coach's team, to win the game. Probably who I think Vikings fans are now going to cheer for, given that that's your new head coach there. They're a 4-point favorite. Over-under set at 48.5. Maybe just want to bet on the Rams' individual points over to really cheer for O'Connell. It's chatsports.com/bet. Promo code CHAT125. Let's talk defense coaches now, as Kevin O'Connell not formally officially hired. You can't do it until after the Super Bowl. But Jason La Canfora, who is inconsistent but has done better as of late when it comes to accuracy of his reports, says he hears the Vikings are likely to hire Mike Pettine as the defensive coordinator. This is the type of coach that I think does make sense for a young offensive-minded head coach. You want some experience on the defense side of the ball. Now, if I could get Vic Fangio, I would so much rather do that. Might not be the case here. Mike Pettine has been a head coach and a defensive coordinator in the past. The Bills DC in 2013. After that, before he was the Jets defense coordinator, where he had most of his damage. Takes over as the Browns head coach, and is not very good in the end. A Seahawks consultant in 2017. Packers DC got fired last year. Might not have been all his fault, by the way. And this past year was the Bears' senior defensive assistant, which was just kind of the mentee type of role there for a young DC and Sean Desai, who I also wouldn't mind having interest in the end. So there are plenty of options out there for Vikings defense. Maybe we'll do a video on that, producer Jack, in the near future. Who do you want as the Vikings defensive coordinator? Let me know in the comments, and make sure those notifications are set to all. That way, if we do break down some defensive coordinator candidates, probably not offensive coordinator candidates, because that's going to be Kevin O'Connell, hit that big red button and subscribe for free Vikings videos all off season long. Back to QB, this time it's draft focus. How about drafting Matt Corral, the Ole Miss quarterback? Fans cited mentioned this as a good fit in the Kevin O'Connell offense, and I kind of get what they're going for here. I'm very curious to see what style of offense really O'Connell runs. He comes from the Sean McVay tree, which is kind of an offshoot of the Kyle Shanahan tree, but McVay's been a bit different, more shotgun, a little bit less under center, which will crowd a lot of it at Ole Miss. Quick release. He's accurate, has a pretty solid arm. However, the Ole Miss offense is not really an NFL-style offense. I bring this up because I just finished much of Corral for my pre-draft scouting notes here, and he's a tough eval because he does have the arm. His game overall is quick. He's athletic, he's mobile, good arm, quick release on top of that, generally pretty accurate. The Ole Miss offense, it was RPO/play action heavy. I was charting, which I very rarely chart because it's just so time consuming. I did it for the Alabama game. 35 pass plays. That includes some plays that were negated due to penalty or he scrambled on, whatever. Of those plays, 15 of them were RPOs or just pure play action. That's a massive percentage. 7 of them were screen plays. There were a jet pass, another motion screen. There were only like a dozen to a half dozen, barely double digits, of normal drop back, read the defense plays. That is not conducive to an NFL offense. If you want to run a bunch of RPOs, Matt Corral is your guy. He's very accurate, makes good decisions, gets the ball out quickly, has a good quick release. I understand the allure of Matt Corral. He also is not nearly polished as a pure drop back, read the defense. When he's beyond his one read, there are not that many examples, and it wasn't great. If Justin Fields was a one-read quarterback, which he was not, by the way, what are we calling then Matt Corral? Because he really didn't get past his first read very option. The ringer comped him to Marcus Mariota. I don't mind that one. Maybe Colt McCoy, but good in terms of the NFL. That could be a decent comp for him. I don't mind it. I get worried if you make him your first-round pick. Round 2, I'm all aboard. Top 15, it's a lot of risk there. So what do you think? Who do you want as the Vikings quarterback in 2022? Head down to the comment section and let me know. Some other names, if you want to go drafting, maybe Malik Willis makes sense. You can draft him, sit him for a year, then make him your starter next year. Kenny Pickett, I think, is a bit more polished than Matt Corral, but I think he's a bit more limited in terms of his arm strength and athletic abilities. Not that he's a bad athlete, but his arm is just not that great. Carson Strong is your prototypical drop-back pocket passer. Needs a big red flag. Got a good arm, though. Sam Howell, I think, is a lesser version of Matt Corral. Better going deep downfield. I don't think as accurate as Matt Corral is. And Desmond Ridder, he frustrates me. I want to like him so much. He shows these flashes, but there are 5 just like, what are you doing, dude? Throws every game, and I don't know for a fifth-year senior if that's ever going to really be worked out in terms of the kinks in his game. Minnesota, though, I don't think that they have the guy on the roster right now long-term. Kirk Cousins is fine for the time being. I'm unintrigued by Kellen Mond. Mike Zimmer, the regime that drafted him is gone. Mike Zimmer didn't like him. I don't think Mond's your guy. If you want to buy him more time, okay, then don't draft somebody in the end.